it's Jonathan, and welcome to a special video. Today I'll give a simplified explanation of how the political system of the United States works. As you probably know, in a few months' time, on November 8th, the US will be holding elections to Congress, as well as numerous state and local legislatures. Hence, I thought it would be very useful for me to make a video explaining how American politics works. We've got plenty to talk about, so let's begin. The United States of America is described as a federal presidential constitutional republic. The term federal indicates that power is divided between a central government, called a federal government, and the governments of various regions called states in the US. Meanwhile, the term presidential indicates that the federal government is led by an official known as a president, instead of the prime ministers you sometimes see in parliamentary systems such as the United Kingdom. Furthermore, the word constitutional indicates that the US political system is structured in accordance with a document known as a constitution, which contains the country's fundamental principles. The Constitution of the United States, the oldest written constitution still in effect, was originally adopted in 1787, going into effect on March 4, 1789. It has been amended 27 times from 1791 to 1992. Finally, the term republic refers to a country without a monarch, particularly one whose leaders are democratically elected. Since this video is about the political system of the US, now would be a good opportunity to learn about these leaders. On the federal level, the American political system is divided into three branches: the legislative branch, which makes the laws, the executive branch, which enforces the laws, and the judicial branch, which interprets the laws. The legislative branch of the federal government is known as the United States Congress. It is a bicameral legislature, meaning that it is composed of two houses, a lower house and an upper house. The lower house of Congress is the House of Representatives, sometimes informally known as the House. It is in charge of drafting, then voting on proposed laws known as bills. There are currently 435 members of the House, known as representatives or congressmen, with each being directly elected for 2-year terms from congressional districts whose boundaries are determined by population. These representatives also elect their own presiding officer, the Speaker of the House, whose roles consist of, among other things, presiding over the House, leading his or her party's representatives, and numerous other minor functions. Additionally, some representatives may also be members of the numerous committees within the House. These currently include 20 standing committees, 6 non-standing committees, and numerous subcommittees. Each committee is in charge of a certain field, and their roles include gathering information about the field, observing the workings of government, and, for standing committees, reviewing bills. When a representative proposes a bill, the Speaker assigns the bill to one or more committees relevant to the bill subject. The committee, or committees, review the bill before sending it back to the floor, that is, the full House of Representatives. The House would debate on its content further, usually for an hour before voting on the bill. Usually the voting takes place as a recorded vote, with the votes being recorded via the member's identification card, although it can also take place via a voice vote. This means voting in favor by saying aye or yeah, and against by saying nay or no. Once the House votes on the bill, it gets sent to the upper house, known as the Senate. This body currently has 100 senators, or 2 for each state. They are elected for terms of 6 years each, although not at once, since only a third of the Senate seats are up for election at a time. Unlike the House, which elects its own presiding officer, the Senate is headed by the President of the Senate, another title for the Vice President of the United States, who is also the President second in command, and placeholder or successor, depending on if the President is unavailable for one reason or another. Anyway, like the House, the Senate also has committees, 16 standing committees containing 67 subcommittees, plus another 5 non-standing committees. The Senate committees perform very similar tasks to House ones, including reviewing the bills before they are brought to the floor of the Senate, where a voice vote is held on the bill's status. If the Senate votes in favor, the bill is brought to the US's head of state, the President of the United States. This official, as well as his vice president, is elected to up to 2 4-year terms in a very different way from Congress. Every 4 years, residents of U.S. states and Washington, D.C. check off a box on a ballot next to a candidate's name. However, this isn't a vote for the presidential candidate per se. Rather, it determines the membership of the Electoral College, a special group in charge of formally electing a president. The college currently has 538 electors, 435 corresponding to House seats, 100 to match the senators, and 3 more to represent Washington, D.C. The Electoral College usually just elects the same person who won the popular vote, the one the public participates in, although on 5 occasions the Electoral College picked someone else. Either way, the president has several different powers. When presented with a bill, he can either sign the bill into law or he can use a veto, preventing it from becoming law unless 2/3 of Congress can override it. Furthermore, he also has other powers, including heading the United States Armed Forces as Commander-in-Chief, issuing directives called executive orders to match the federal government, issuing pardons for those who committed federal crimes, and appointing more than 6,000 federal officials. Although some of the more important ones have to be appointed with the advice and consent of the U.S. Senate. This means that although the U.S. President can pick a nominee, the Senate has the final say on whether the nominee can take their position. There is a very long list of positions that are appointed this way, but in short, these positions include members of the Cabinet, an advisory body consisting of the heads of the executive branch's departments, the leaders of numerous federal agencies, and federal judges, including members of the third branch of government, the Supreme Court of the United States. This body has the power to interpret the Constitution of the United States and therefore to determine whether laws are constitutional or not. Although the Constitution itself does not specifically say that the Supreme Court has this power, this was how the court itself interpreted it in the now famous Marbury v. Madison case of 1803, which established the Supreme Court's most famous power. Currently, the Supreme Court consists of 9 members: the Chief Justice, which heads the court, and 8 other members called Associate Justices. As I said, all 9 of them are nominated by the President and appointed with the advice and consent of the Senate. Furthermore, to ensure the court's independence, they all serve on the court for life unless they retire, resign, or get impeached. Either way, those are the 3 branches of government: the Congress to propose the laws, the President to enforce them, and the Supreme Court to determine whether the laws are lawful. There's a lot more I can talk about in regards to American politics, but I think those are the important details. That has been my summary of the political system of the US. I hope you found it informative and entertaining. This has been Jonathan, and I'll see you in the next video.